Yeah, listen, like, it's pretty obnoxious. But that's what I was saying, like, when I was like, yeah, I'm showing you guys this strategy, but, like, should I really? Like, this is, like, gonna destroy ladder. Heli Arch. Oh, we just Sunny Day minimize. Oh, yeah, we just Sunny Day minimize. Oh, this is gonna be amazing. Honestly, this is kind of like, I don't know if you guys have watched Oppenheimer before, but he's talking about, like, you know how he made, like, the thing or whatever. He's like, oh, man, what evil have I unleashed on the world? That's, like, low-key what's happening right here, basically.
Howdy Ho, YouTube. Jon-Luke VGC here. Our good friend Joseph Ugarte has not created a new team, but has showcased a new team that will now be the scourge of the earth for the Champions Ladder. That's right. He has brought back Muck Smeargle in a new way with Minimize, Stockpile, Overquill, Skill Swap Meowstick, and Psych Up, Mega Sableye, and Klefki. So today, oh my god, okay, yeah, so, yeah, this is bad. Like, this is gonna be a really annoying team to face. We thought we were free because there was no Muck Smeargle, but here we are. So I should preface that Joe did not make the team, but some high ladder players have been seeing this team and have faced it. I have faced it as well. If you look back in the video with me and Justin Tang, where we used Mega Electros, we faced at least a version of the team. One of the good things about the team that we were using is we had Black Glasses Swords Dance King Gambit, which is like an amazing counter to it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But anyways, if you're not familiar with how this team works, effectively, Meowstick will side Skill Swap Prankster onto Overquill, which will then click Minimize, which will raise its evasion, and by 2 stages each time it clicks it. This means that now all 100% accurate moves have a chance to miss. Yep, now you get where I'm going. So ideally, you get minimized up 3 times, so you have +6 evasion, so it's really hard to hit. You can stockpile 3 times, which means that your special defense and defense are boosted by 3 stages, and then either Sableye or Klefki can come in and copy those boosts with Psych Up. Delphox as well, but he never actually uses it in the video. And then basically, Sableye can be really annoying with Foul Play and Dark Pulse, and then Pain Split as soon as it gets too much damage taken. And then Klefki can continue to get special defense boost and special attack boosts with Calm Mind and Draining Kiss to heal any damage when you do actually hit it over the course of the battle. Sub also protects Klefki from really bad moves like Charizard and stuff like that, or EQ from Garchomp, so overall, the team is super frustrating. There's some tech on here specifically to help against like things that normally you would use against this team. Sunny Day Meowstick is important, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, because certain moves in weather cannot miss. I know that like Hurricane, for instance, right, in the rain, people go, oh, now it's 100% accurate. That's actually not technically correct. Hurricane just no longer has an accuracy check, which means that in the rain, it cannot miss. It doesn't even try to check for it. It just hits. Same with Blizzard in snow. So Sunny Day is there to kind of get rid of those guaranteed, because there's no like guaranteed sun move in Pokemon at this point. And then Sneasler's there for the Swords Dance King Gambit, basically, with Quick Guard to help protect, close combat, all that jazz, those kinds of things. Sableye, Mega Sableye, also gets an ability called Magic Bounce, which means that you can't, effectively, you're not able to do certain moves that'll bounce them back. You can't taunt it, you can't parting shot it, like a bunch of stuff like that, and then it just does it back. Now, the parting shot's funny, because if you do parting shot them and then they Magic Bounce you, they actually still, they go out. Like, Yurmon gets the special attack and the attack drop, but then they pivot out and are forced to go into another Pokemon. So that's actually a very funny, interesting interaction that you can utilize to your advantage. That's so niche. I'm not really going to talk about that in today's video, but if you actually listen to the intro, there you go. That's something funny as well. But if they've got minimizes up, it can miss, right? So you actually have to hit the parting shot, which is really, really annoying. Yeah, so you can't taunt it, you can't do any of that stuff. And then Overquill and Sableye are dark types. So if you're like, okay, well, I want to go fast, Prankster Taunt doesn't work because they're dark types and they're immune to Prankster. And you're like, well, Jon-Luke, Meowstick is clicking Prankster Skill Swap into Overquill. Why does that work? So a niche interaction of Prankster and dark types is that it only stops opposing Pokemon from being affected by Prankster moves. So you can side Skill Swap because Overquill is on the same side of the field as Meowstick, so you're actually able to side Skill Swap and give it Prankster. It's the same instance when we get them back in terrains. There was a popular what am I trying to say? There was a popular strategy back in Scarlet and Violet where you would have Aqua Jet Primarina next to Weak Armor Armarouge, and you would side and you would have Indeedee somewhere on the team to set up Psychic Terrain. And so basically the goal was that you would side Aqua Jet into your own Armor Rouge, get the +2 special attack, and activate weak armor in order to get +2 speed, and then you could go in. But if you had like brought out, like if you had brought out Ndidi first, right? And so you could just like start clicking Expanding Force because you thought that was good, and Ndidi goes down. You can, even though the Psychic Terrain is up, you're still able to side Aqua Jet into your armor, which is very interesting. So this team looks really, really annoying, and I was like, I gotta make a video on how to counter it. Sorry, Joe. I don't appreciate this team. I don't like this team. I don't really respect this team. I'm not gonna lie. I think if you have to rely on luck entirely in order to win the game, that's a skill issue, and you should feel bad about it. And I don't know, like, you know what I mean? You're just hoping you don't get hit. There's some skill in like trying to stop the strategy from going off altogether. That there is some skill in that as well. But basically, if your like team isn't prepped for it or you don't see it coming, there's like no counterplay. Now you just have to click moves and hope that you hit, and your opponent's just hoping that you don't hit, and that's not very fun. I just said that's not a fun way to play the game. So I'm going to talk about how to beat it today, especially since Champions has brought about a ton of new players who might not know about some of the specific interactions available in Pokemon. We are going to talk about the big ones. Again, I'm not going to talk about some like super small, super niche interactions because those aren't pertinent, and they won't come up enough in order for you to like tech them on a team in order to counter this one specific archetype. But we're going to talk about some of the big ones. And so the first thing we're going to talk about are basically moves that get rid of stat boosts. And there's two in particular that you want to be looking at. The first is Haze. So Haze is a move, and probably, yeah, like Palafin's a really good one, but Haze is a move that removes all stat drops from everybody on the team. And the reason that Haze is good is because if you look here in Showdown, right, the little accuracy, it has a little dash. When it has a little dash like that, it means that there is not an accuracy check. It just happens. This is, if you ever played the Yu-Gi-Oh card game or anything like that, this is a field effect. It affects everybody on the field, and you're not targeting anybody, it just happens. Haze is really good because since it doesn't target, if they have a bunch of evasion boosts and you haze, there's no chance of missing, all of the boosts just go away. Everybody, but that's everybody on the field. This was very prominent in Scarlet and Violet because you would use it with Prankster, Murkrow, plus Spec Skoldango, and turn 1, you would just click Tailwind, make it rain, and then turn 2, you would click Haze, make it rain, get rid of, because remember, normally Goldango's ability means that it's not affected by status moves, but because, again, it's a field effect, and it's not a targeting Goldango, Goldango is affected by Haze, getting rid of the -1 at that point to special attack, and then you're able to continue clicking Make It Rain at full power. So Haze is like a premier one, and some of the Pokemon that you can probably use, right? So let's take a look. Palafin is one for sure. I did that back in Regulation H. I used Haze Palafin because I was Mystic Water, and I used Wave Crash, Jet Punch, Haze Protect. And that came in handy particularly for Dondozo Tatsugiri, which are not in the game yet, but eventually will, and you'll see Haze probably pop up a lot more when that happens. I don't really think you want to use it on D-Knight or like any of your Megas. You don't really want to use it on a Mega slot because that's not what the Megas are for. Milo is a really fantastic Haze user in basically any regulation, and just because it's like so bulky, you know what I mean, that you can really kind of bulk it out. Like a lot of people right now when they're using the coil sets will do something like this, like first bump, go 2 here just to outspeed Adam and max speed Sash Gambit, and then just like that, right? And like all of a sudden you're like super bulky, really hard to get rid of. And so even if like there's a bunch of Pokemon, like you got all these boosts up, right? They're not going to be able to get rid of Milotic, even if it's slower, before you can click Haze, and you will get rid of all their boosts and then take it from there. The other nice thing about Milo is that like they can't intimidate you down or anything like that because of the competitive boost. You don't want to run coil with this because with Haze you would get rid of your own coil boosts. So it's not, you don't really want to run setup with Milo. That is something to think about. So you would have to kind of rethink the way that we run Milotic right now, because a lot of it's like the coil, hypnosis, muddy water stuff. But you could go like Icy Wind, you could go double attack, Haze Protect, and do a more like offensive set if you wanted to. Like there's a bunch of ways that you could like rethink Milotic to slot Haze in on this moveset. Another good one is Palafin. That's what I did back in Regulation H. Like especially if you're running something like Mystic Water, and you don't need the coverage, right? You can just go Wave Crash, Jet Punch, Haze, just to have that and protect. And then this is faster, so you're base 100, so you could like tech out to outspeed certain things. Just do the like, I can't remember what I did. I was like jolly. I think I was like 157 or something like that, and then yeah, just like, and then it was 1-1 because of how it works. But yeah, so you can do something like that. You can tech in the Haze, and it's really useful because you're going to be swapping Palafin in and out, and it just makes the game a lot easier because then you can Haze, they get rid of their boosts, and then ideally it'll be faster than whatever's clicking minimize, so then you can just blast it with like Mystic Water Wave Crash, you know what I mean? And it's going to do a really, really good job at that. I don't know if there's any other like really prominent Haze user. You go by speed, like regular Greninja, I guess, if that's something you want to run, like base Greninja, base Gengar, could be something. But those would be kind of the two main ones, I guess. You got the evolutions. Toxapex is an option if like that. That's in singles, I think. I've seen like Haze, Toxapex in singles a decent amount. It's basically the same thing as Milotic. It's like, I know it's slow, but it's like impossible to get rid of quickly. If they're going like the team that Joe showed uses like Barb Barrage in order to poison the opponent to deal consistent damage over time. Since you're a poison type, you're immune to Barb Barrage, and so you can swap in kind of safely and get the Haze off. Same for something like Galarian Slowbro. That would be another thing as well. I guess Galarian Slowking does not learn Haze, which is very interesting. But yeah, so what, like Milo, Palafin, Toxapex, Galarian Slowbro, all of those. Oh, Primarina. Primarina is actually also a really prominent Haze user back in Scarlet and Violet. You would normally run like Citrus Berry or even Mystic Water as well, Liquid Voice, and it would be like Hyper Voice, Moonblast, Haze, Protect, and you would just like be super bulky and be able to get like multiple Hyper Voices off and do all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is another really good Haze user is Primarina. You're gonna notice it's a lot of water types. But yeah, that would be something to consider. So Milo, Palafin, Primarina, Toxapex, Galarian Slowbro, all of those guys, good Haze users. I don't really want to waste a move on one of my Megas just for like these particular niche interactions. It doesn't feel like it's worth it. But if you can find a Pokemon that serves a purpose, and then there's like if you don't need the coverage, right? So like before, people were running a lot of like close combat or encore on Palafin, right? But if you're like, well, I've got Sneasler with Palafin for coaching or whatever, like I have the fighting type damage, it doesn't matter. Well, Haze is there now all of a sudden to like help counter this like one specific move slot or this one specific archetype, and that's really, really useful. Another move that gets rid of stat boosts is called Clear Smog. This one is a little bit different than Haze. It is not a field effect. It is actually, you do target, but just like Haze, it doesn't have an accuracy check. It ignores evasion and accuracy and stuff like that, and it resets all of the target stats to 0. So this is a little different in that it doesn't affect every single Pokemon on the field. It only affects the Pokemon that you attack. We would see this a lot as like a tech move on Torkoal, particularly for Dondozo as well. And sometimes you would see it on Amoonguss. That was a kind of a big one that would do it too. But it is a poison type move, so steel types are immune. That's the kind of the negative thing about Clear Smog. There is an immunity if they're a steel type. So something like the Klefki on that team, right? Like you would always be able to Clear Smog Overquill, Sableye, and Delphox, but you would never be able to Clear Smog Klefki, which is kind of a negative, right? And so that's kind of the trade-off. You target so you can keep your own boosts, but your opponent doesn't. But there is a type that is immune to it, which is kind of bad. And Clear Smog as a slot is also, like, it does some damage, but it's pretty weak, and there's not a lot of actual poison types that learn it, I don't think. I guess Mega Gengar, but you really want to be running Sludge Bomb. Yeah, that's like it. Like Gengar and Victory Bell. It's not a widely distributed, and Garbodor, I guess, but that one's bad. There's not a lot of Pokemon that actually get access to this move, so it's more niche than some, like, I would rather have a Haze Palafin on my team than like a Clear Smog Armarouge. You know what I mean? Like you would need like you would be using Clear Smog on Armarouge because Armarouge is serving multiple purposes specifically for the team that you've created, not necessarily because like Armarouge is the best Pokemon ever and it's like so slappable on any team. You know what I mean? But that is another option. So just keep in mind though, Steel type's immune, so you would be able to, like in this particular instance against the team that Joe showcased, you would be able to clear Smog, Overquill, Sableye, and Delphox, which would not be able to clear Smog Klefki, which could be really unfortunate, right? So that's just something to remember. Those are kind of the main moves that remove stat changes. I actually can't think of anything else in the decks. I looked it up. I did like research before this and everything, and I looked stuff up, and I couldn't see any other moves that like got rid of stat changes. And feel free to comment down below, like let people know if I missed anything. Happy to have those corrections in place so people can have the most amount of knowledge possible. I want to make sure that everybody is whooping this team's behind as quickly as possible. So the next set of moves that we're going to talk about are moves that force switching. So it's pretty common. We know moves like Parting Shot, U-Turn, Volt Switch, those moves where you use them, they deal a little damage, and the Pokemon that utilizes the move switches out. Well, on the other end, there are moves in Pokemon that you use and forces the target of that move to switch out. This is actually in Joe's video, and the first one that we're going to talk about today is Roar. Roar is probably, in my opinion, the best move for this. And he saw it on an Archaludon. So what does Roar do? Roar, again, look, little dash on the accuracy check. So there's no accuracy check here. It automatically hits. It focuses the target to switch to a random ally. So you use Roar, it like hits a Pokemon and they're forced to switch out. Roar is really good for a couple of reasons. One, it can't miss. So even if they have evasion boosts, Roar will always hit and they'll always be switched out. And two, it ignores Protect. So even if they protect and you use Roar, the Roar is still successful and they are still forced out when you use it. The bad thing about Roar is that it has something called negative priority, which means that it is, so when you think about priority in Pokemon, right? The move like Tackle has 0 priority, which means that it will just move based on the Pokemon's speed. But Quick Attack has +1 priority, which means that if you use Quick Attack and your opponent uses Tackle, and you're slower than your opponent, because you have +1 priority, you will actually still move before your opponent because of the move's priority bracket. Roar, I think it has what, -3 priority? Roar has a priority of -6. Yeah, so I guess it's like -6 or something like that. But basically, because of that negative priority, it will go after, basically it will usually go after every other Pokemon, except for any other moves that have a lower priority, like Trick Room. Roar is also used to stop Trick Room in some instances, because it has a higher prio than Trick Room. So if your opponent clicks Trick Room and you click Roar, the Roar will still go before the Trick Room user can get their move off, so they'll be forced out and they're not able to use Trick Room for that turn. This is probably, in my opinion, the best move to like force force Pokemon out. It's pretty widely distributed. Look at all these Pokemon that get Roar. So it's pretty easy to tech onto something. Again, it's very specific, but it's still pretty good. A couple of Pokemon that we've seen it teched on a lot are Archaludon's one. This might be more of like a singles thing, but we have seen it a little bit in VGC. Farigiraf is a really fantastic Roar user. The reason for that is that we've actually seen it next to something like Sylveon, because we know that Sylveon likes to run Hyper Beam a lot, which it requires a charge turn, so you can like click Hyper Beam with Sylveon, and then in the same turn, side Roar into the Sylveon to force it out, and that allows it to ignore the recharge turn, because now you're just going into a new Pokemon. So Roar Farigiraf is actually something real, especially if you like, if you're not a Trick Room team, but you have Farigiraf and you need a way to stop Trick Room, but you don't have enough room for 2 move slots, i.e. Imprison Trick Room, you can use Roar. So basically, you have to guess who's like going for the Trick Room. You can Roar them out before the Trick Room happens, and so that's a really good move to use as well. Another really prominent Roar user is Incineroar. James Beck, actually, I think, did the best at Worlds last year with Roar Incin on a Calyrex Shadow Koraidon team with Regieleki. I think was what it was, but he's a really, really big proponent of Roar Incineroar, Incineroar, if you will. But yeah, that's another really good one. Normally people will give up one of the attacking moves, so it's normally always Fake Out, Roar, Parting Shot, and then one of either Flare Blitz or Throat Chop. But that's another really good option as well. Again, and it's the same reason that we liked Haze on something like Milotic or Toxapex. Our Chaladon, Ferrograph, Incineroar, very bulky, very, very hard to KO in a single hit, especially if they're trained entirely in their bulk. So even with the negative priority, they'll basically survive whatever hits that you want to go into them. They'll get the Roar off, and then you can kind of take the game from there. So Roar, in my opinion, if you're like, well, no, I want to use a move that forces my opponent to switch out, I think Roar is the best option. There are some other ones. The next best, for me personally, would be something like Whirlwind. Is it as widely distributed? No. So it's not nearly as widely distributed, Whirlwind. And it does the same thing. It forces, it's like basically the exact same thing, but less Pokemon get it. And Roar just has a cooler animation, I guess. You know what I mean? So that would be my thing. I guess if it's like you need to use it on a Pokemon that otherwise doesn't get Roar, but yeah, I'm almost certain that like every Pokemon that gets Whirlwind gets Roar, so maybe just stick with Roar. Some of the moves that I personally would not use, I have my notes here, are things like Dragon Tail. So Dragon Tail is also a move that forces the opponent to switch out. The problem with Dragon Tail, right? So there's a trade-off. So it is a damaging move that forces the user to switch out. 60 base power, and then switch to a random ally. It also has negative priority, just like Roar, just like Whirlwind does. So it doesn't move in the same priority bracket as everything else. But it has an accuracy check, and that's the problem. Like if we're going specifically for these evasion strats that Joe Ugarte has plagued on the world, don't hate me, Joe, or do, I guess, I don't know, but it has that accuracy check, which is a problem, right? Because then that means you can miss, and the goal of these is to exclusively not miss. So Dragon Tail is really good if you need to just do it for like mons that are like increasing their attack or their defense and kind of those kinds of stuff. But in evasion strats in particular, you have to use things like Haze or Roar or Clear Smog, things that ignore that altogether. There is another one. Circle Throw. Circle Throw is the same thing, but it's a fighting type move. And again, it's 90% accurate. It can miss. I don't recommend it. Yeah, I really stick with Roar. And if there's like a Mon in that list that doesn't get Roar that you need and has a Whirlwind, that one as well. But Roar, in my opinion, is the superior force switch move. Next is weather moves. And the two that we're really going to talk about are, let's just go, I'm just going to make the sets here. Hurricane and Blizzard. So just like I was talking about before, a little bit, so I won't delve too much into this. Moves that garner 100% accuracy in weather. Primarily, I think it's only Hurricane and Blizzard. Are those the only two? Oh, Thunder. Thunder as well. Yeah, so Thunder, Hurricane, Blizzard. Yeah. Yep. You get Thunder? That'd be so funny. Those three. Okay, so it's Thunder, Hurricane, and Blizzard, right? These moves become 100% accurate in their respective weather. So Thunder and Hurricane for rain and Blizzard for snow, right? But look at the description of the move here. Thunder can't miss in rain. Blizzard can't miss in snow. Pelipper can't miss in rain, right? They do not become 100% accurate in their respective weathers. They become unable to miss. And that's different because that means that instead of running an accuracy check where the percentage is 100%, it bypasses the accuracy check altogether and just hits the opponent. So that means that no matter how many evasion boosts Overquill has or Klefki has or whatever, if rain is up, that Hurricane will connect. If rain is up, that Thunder will connect. If snow is up, the Blizzard will connect, that kind of stuff. And so these are really fantastic because you have to maintain the weather control. So in a team like this, you need to get rid of Meowstic as quickly as possible. maintain weather and then just start spamming really powerful attacks that can't miss. What is it? They're actually all kind of good, right? Because Hurricane can force a confusion, Blizzard can freeze, and Thunder can paralyze, which is all really good. So those secondary effects are actually quite nice in these particular instances. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, weather moves, really, really great as long as you can maintain the weather control, because then you can just like kind of ignore the accuracy checks altogether, which is really, now that's harder said than done because they have the manual sunny day. So you need to get rid of the meow stick in this particular instance, so that way they no longer have any form of weather control, and then kind of take the game from there. I do not believe weather ball garners. Yeah, it just doubles in power and type depending on the rain, but it doesn't actually get a accuracy boost in any of the weathers. That would actually be really sick. That would be super duper good in that particular instance, but unfortunately it does not. In the same vein, there are Pokemon moves that just simply ignore accuracy altogether, like we saw with Clear Smog. And kind of the biggest one that you're going to see right now in the meta is Kowtow Cleave. So Kowtow Cleave, this move does not check accuracy, right? 85 base power. And so the nice thing about, so if you need like a good Pokemon just to counter this team, it's just this. You can make this Chople if you want, I guess, but Kowtow, Sucker Punch, Swords Dance, Protect. I recently won a tournament, like a small limitless tournament using this King Gambit set. I'm just gonna give it to you. It's so simple. Ready? Done. I'll give you those EVs right now. There you go. Those are the EVs I ran with it. But yeah, so basically, I know that in this particular instance, Kowtow is resisted by both Klefki and Overquill, but once you get enough boosts, right? Like if you match boosts, they're going to be +3 and you're going to be +6. So you're still going to have a +3 boost to your damage. And then something like Overquill cannot damage you because it only has Barb Barrage, and it just depends on how much the Draining Kiss is really going to do to Klefki, as long as you can hit it enough before it really starts to get going. Because remember, once it comes out, it can't psych up any special attack boosts. And so this thing's going to have like no special attack investment, basically. It's probably all bulk would be my guess. I don't actually know the EVs that he used specifically. But yeah, so this is really fantastic because while they're getting a +1 boost, you're getting +2. You can basically outpace them on the boosts and then just start ripping Kowtow Cleaves that cannot miss in order to KO the Pokemon, or in the worst case scenario, stall time to the end of the game and force a draw. So yeah, this is really good. Other moves that do like Pokemon, let's see. I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head. Bypass. Yeah, Aerial Ace is one as well. Does Aurasphere ignore accuracy checks? That would be really interesting if so. Yeah, yep, Aurasphere ignores accuracy checks. But look, there's a ton of them here, right? Dark Pulse? Does Dark Pulse ignore accuracy checks? Whoa, I didn't know this. Hang on. We're learning together. No, it's nope. It does not ignore accuracy checks. But yeah, there's quite a few that like totally ignore accuracy checks, right? So just something to keep in mind. Let's go attacking moves. Yeah, Aerial Ace, Swift, Shockwave, and Faint Attack. Okay, yeah, so nothing like super, but Aerial Ace is real, and Kowtow Cleave would be kind of the two real ones, I think. Now, Aerial Ace is resisted by actually only Klefki in this instance, so that's pretty good. So if you want to use Aerial Ace as well, there's probably some good Pokemon for that. I mean, I guess Mega Arrow. It would be Tough Claws boosted, wouldn't it? Dragonite would be pretty good, I think, for that as well, because you could run like Sharp Beak. I guess if you want to run it on Mega Staraptor, but yeah, so I think the two real moves in this particular instance would be Aerial Ace, but more prominently, like we're going to see Kowtow Cleave, just because King Gambit is so good and everybody sees it, and I can't disagree. When I won that tournament, it was the Mega sometimes, dude. It's disgusting how good this Pokemon could be if you can just position it right. So yeah, Kowtow Cleave ignores accuracy, Aerial Ace ignores accuracy. Important stuff to remember. And then the last thing we want to talk about, and this is probably the most niche like set of moves that you can have in order to counter this specific strategy. There are a subsect of moves that actually ignore, specifically minimize evasion boosts and deal additional damage when it's used, right? The list of these moves are Body Slam, Dragon Rush, Flying Press, Heat Crash, Heavy Slam, Steamroller, and Stomp. Those are the moves. But the only ones that we really probably need to worry about are Body Slam, Heat Crash, Heavy Slam, and Stomp, I would say. And the reason that I would say those, and really it should probably just be like what, Body Slam and Heavy Slam, because Body Slam has probably got, let's just go with a normal types for that. But I'm assuming that, yeah, Mega Kang gets it, so that's something particular. And, like, Base Kang gets it as well. No Lopunny? Lopunny doesn't get Body Slam? Oh, wow, that's stinky poopy duty. Yeah, and Snorlax gets it. So those would be kind of the two main ones for Body Slam, I would say. It also has the Paralysis chance, which is pretty nice. But not only does it ignore the Minimize, but if the opponent has Minimized, it deals additional damage because of those minimizations. I don't know necessarily. Yeah, they do double the original damage. I'm not 100% certain. I'm fairly certain that it's like no matter how many minimizes they've got, it just does double the damage, which means something like Body Slam. So let's say it's like Mega Kang, right? Body Slam becomes a 170 base power move when used by Kangaskhan, and then you get the Parental Bond as well. So you get the what, 25%? So what's 25% of 80? 2, 4, 6, 8. That would be, yeah, 25. So like 80, like 22. So it'd be another 44. Yeah, that'd be incredibly, like an over 200 base power attack into this thing that now gives you 2 chances to paralyze it, which is really, really good. So Body Slam is one of those moves. It ignores the minimize boosts and in fact does additional damage, double damage if they are minimized. And the other one to consider is Heavy Slam. That one is a little more prevalent, I think, just because steel types tend to be very heavy. And so, like, it's really, really good. The big thing you're probably going to see, yeah, is Mega Aggron and Mega Steelix. Those are going to kind of be the 2 main ones. So if you're running, Mega Ag, if you're using the wall or whatever, make sure that you have Heavy Slam on that thing, and then you just, like, don't care, because you deal double damage, right? So if Mega Aggron is, like Klefki, right? The difference between their weight is enormous. I think it hits the max base power of 120, right? So that means that if they've minimized directly, this is important. This is an important distinction, right? So Overquill in this particular instance is clicked minimize. It becomes a 240 stab base power move. That is really, really fantastic. So Heavy Slam and Body Slam are the 2 really good Pokemon for that. Now, the stipulation for these moves, and this is like an important distinction that you have to know. This interaction only works on the Pokemon that has clicked minimize. And that is really, really important. That means that if Overquill has come in and clicked minimize 3 times, the Heavy Slam will always connect and will have double the power. If Klefki has come in and psyched up the minimize boosts, the Heavy Slam is not affected in the same way, and it will use the regular accuracy check with the regular base power. That is right. If they click Psych Up, this interaction does not occur. They have to have clicked minimize specifically in order for you to get the power boost and the accuracy bypass. So that's really, really important. So that means that you really need to take care of that Pokemon before other Pokemon can come in and independently get the boosts, which is really, really hard, but that is something to consider. That's why I think these moves are like good, and I like them. I played them a lot in Regulation I and G when I used Heavy Slam Zamazenta a lot. But I do think something like Roar, which it doesn't matter how you've gotten those evasion boosts, you just simply click Roar into it and it goes away, is really fantastic. Or Haze, which just does the whole field effect, which is really, really solid. So these moves, very niche, very like specific interaction that particularly newer players are not going to know yet. That's something to keep in mind. So if you're like, oh, do I need Heavy Slam or Iron Head on my Steelix? Heavy Slam. Use Heavy Slam. It's just so much more usefulness to it. It is definitely the move in my opinion. So hopefully this has given you some ideas on what to use in order to counter this team, as I'm not going to play ladder for the next 4 or 5 days until the new season starts. I'm shiny hunting now. Sorry, shiny hunting stream. Woo! You know what I mean? Like, no, but yeah. So, Joe, why'd you do this? Whoever made that team, why'd you do this? You have unleashed this terror onto the world, and now we all must suffer the consequences of it. What is it? Scientists often ask themselves what they can do and not what they should do. Yeah, you shouldn't have done this. Now we're here, aren't we? We're stuck. So, thank you all so much for watching. Joe, I love you. Please don't hate me, or I guess do. I don't, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying the truth, you know what I mean? I'm here to tell the truth. Yeah. All right, that's enough rambling. I hope this helps. Thank you all so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe because it really helps me out a ton. But most importantly, please remember that you are appreciated. All right. Peace.